beat her to death and left with the poker. I'm not sure why they didn't.
And the poker was never found.
Never.
I mean, so again,
it went down a drain.
I guess,
it went into the river. Yeah, but
okay.
Cool. Other than that, I can't say. It's it's entirely possible too that somebody set Wallace up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They made the phone call to the chess club deliberately from a phone booth near his house to cast suspicion upon him.
Yeah. It's totally possible. Although it doesn't seem like he had any really enemies. I mean, other than Perry.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could have been somebody trying to actually commit the perfect crime.
Yeah, could have been.
Just a hobby sort of thing. So here's what we're going to do.
He was Sherlock Holmes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Was Conan Doyle in the area?
Yeah, I know.
So there you have it.
Yeah, but anyway, but think about that. I mean, so he makes the phone call, knowing that it's going to be recorded. It's going to cast suspicion upon him that he made the call himself, not realizing that Wallace is going to go out there and he's going to totally badger everybody he sees along the way. He's not realizing that. In other words,
he's going to end up with no alibi.
Thinking that, he thought, he was going to disappear. He murders the wife. He's going to come back with no alibi. He's going to go off to the pokey. And instead, he comes back with a great alibi.
That's true. Yeah, it's possible. This was a listener suggestion.
Oh, that's right.
I'll say at the end instead of the beginning.
Because you totally forgot.
I totally forgot, yeah. Mike B. Suggested it in September of 2014.
Yep.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
And then
thanks, Mike B.
The Artful Dodger on Reddit also suggested it recently. And I think we've had a couple of people.
There's been a couple over time.
Yeah. So thank you guys. If you want to suggest a topic for us, you can do that on our website in the About the Show. It's probably not the best place to do it, but you can.
Well, that's where everybody goes to do it.
Where a lot of
I don't know why, but that's where they go.
There, yeah. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can also stream us there, leave a comment about the show. You can find our links to the PayPal, to the Patreon, and to merch. You are probably listening to us on iTunes. If you are, leave a comment and a rating. Those are helpful to us. If you have serious feedback for us, we prefer an email so we can talk to you about it and get understanding. It is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Reddit.
You can find us just about anywhere.
Pretty much anywhere, yeah. We're not on Snapchat.
No.
We're not on Instagram.
No.
We're not on Pinterest.
No.
That's a good point.
We're not on Tinder.
Tinder or Grindr.
Are we on Ashley Madison?
No. I don't think so. I'm not.
We should check. Some people are on there and don't even know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Where are all these weird emails coming from?
Yeah. The note on Twitter is we're thinking sideways, not thinking sideways. And the note on Facebook is the group and the page, not friend us, don't friend us. We don't want to be friends with you. I mean,
we do.
We love you, but
we don't do that.
Just join the group.
Yeah.
That's even better than being our friend.
Yeah, it is. And then you can get to the Patreon if you feel like you want to make a monetary donation to the show. You can do that from the website, or you can just go to patreon.com/thinkingsideways. It's where you make a sustaining donation per episode, and we super duper appreciate that because you guys have been really awesome, and we'd like to keep that momentum going so we can actually pay for the show entirely instead of us paying for the show.
Yeah, we prefer that. We'd like to break even.
Yeah, breaking even is our goal.
My credit card loves it.
Oh, no. No, I know
hopefully you're getting flyer miles out of it or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Anyway, all of that having been said, I think we're going to get on out of here.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, folks. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.
I guess we'll hear them next week. We won't see them.
Yeah, well, they'll hear us.
Yeah, that's true. Thinking Sideways is not supported by playing competitive solitaire. Instead, it's supported by the generous donations of our listeners on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/thinkingsideways to learn more. And thanks.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Well, hi there. Welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I'm Joe, joined as always by
Devin.
and
Steve.
we're gonna guess what? We're gonna talk about cooking. Not really. Okay. Of course, a mystery, another groovy mystery. Okay. Our mystery began on Halloween Day, 1975.
Oh, we're a little late with this one.
Yeah. It's 40 some years. But actually, there's still a little movement on this one, believe it or not. Still stuff going on.
There is.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who suggested this mystery to us.
You're laughing right
Yeah.
now, but really.
Really, yeah.
But genuinely.
He just published a new book, and his publisher sent us a copy. And I love it when people give us free stuff.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
Cool. The book is called Framed, again by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it's a really good roundup of the story and all the suspects. And this case has actually received a lot of national attention for a long time. Lots of books have been written about it, not just RFK's. And also there's another book that was written in the 90s by Mark Furman. And you may have heard of Furman. He was the LAPD homicide detective who was assigned to the O.J. Simpson murder.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, you remember that guy? Yeah.
Did a really good job with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't work out so well. And so the murder of O.J. Simpson's wife and her boyfriend remains unsolved.
Just kidding.
No, really.
Kidding. Furman's book has got some good information in it, though I don't really agree with all of his conclusions.
He did a lot of reconstruction of the crime scene.
He did. He's got some drawings in there and stuff, and he's a professional. Obviously, he knows how to read his crime scenes better than the Greenwich PD.
Yeah.
By the way, our murder takes place in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yeah. So thanks to RFK and thanks to Furman for suggesting this mystery to us.
Yeah. Well, Furman didn't.
Well, just RFK.
Yeah, I sent an email to his publisher to see if he'd be willing to talk to me. And surprise, I never heard back.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, well, back to our mystery. Halloween, 1975, October 31st, about noon on that day, the body of a 15-year-old girl named Martha Moxley was found under a tree in her family's yard in Greenwich, Connecticut. She'd been bludgeoned on the head with a golf club, and the club then broke into several pieces, which was either from the force of the blows to her head or maybe from the deliberate action of maybe the killer actually broke it deliberately. It's hard to say. But it was in basically 4 pieces.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
probably should warn people, if there's munchkins around,
Oh, yeah.
pause from here on forward.
Yeah, it's kind of a brutal
It's
murder.
kind of brutal.
Yes, yeah, it is.
I know. I was just thinking how maybe we should have just said that earlier.
I realize this.
I know what's coming.
Yeah, okay. So 3 pieces of the club were found laying in the grass in the Moxley yard. That was the head, the part that you actually whacked the ball with, and then 2 pieces of shaft, stainless steel shaft. And then the 4th piece was a piece of stainless steel shaft with the handle attached to it. It's the part that you grip with your hands when you swing the golf club.
Yeah, the rubber grippy bit.
Yeah, that part was used to stab her in the neck several times, and the last one went all the way through, and it went through her windpipe, and it's believed that even if she had survived all the blows, she would have died anyway from drowning in her own blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the killer at that point, and I'm getting out of hand here. It's like there was one blow delivered in the driveway. If you look at an aerial of the house, the house where it took place is at 38 Walsh Lane in Greenwich, Connecticut. If you go to Google, you can get a look at an aerial of it, but they've changed up the driveway a little bit. It used to run on the west side of the house, north to Walsh Lane, and then a little semicircular piece breaks off and branches out and goes also to Walsh Lane, so you have a sort of semicircular driveway there. So that patch of grass in the middle is where the initial attack appeared to have taken place.
So in the middle of basically a roundabout.
Yeah, kind of a roundabout thing. And then apparently...
It's a half circle.
Yeah, it's like a quarter circle, actually, when you think about it.
Okay, so not a roundabout.
Yeah.
A quarter about.
It's
Yeah,
like
quarter
it's
about.
like a U-shaped driveway.
Yeah, except it's not quite U-shaped. It's like
Right.
this and like this.
Right.
Yeah, you can't see what I did, but I drew in the air. I drew in the air for Devin.
when the murder happened.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no,
It's
yeah,
totally
it's been changed.
it's a total horseshoe shape now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess it's probably worth noting that this is a gated community, so there's no street view.
That's right.
You
So
have to just
frustrating.
look at Google Earth for
I
it.
know. I know. That's so frustrating. I know. But anyway.
So the attack happens on the quarter circle.
The initial
Yeah,
attack.
yeah. After that point, the killer dragged Martha south, face down, grabbed her by the feet, basically, and drug her face down across the driveway. And we know this because there were lots of gouges in her face. Took her to a place over by a Japanese maple just to the south of the driveway and resumed beating and stabbing her. This was where the main attack took place because there was a major amount of blood was found there. And then last of all, he drug her another like 80 feet south to a big pine tree and left the body under the pine tree. In Mark Furman's book, he says that the wounds were such that she would have been oozing rather than gushing blood. So he believes the killer actually left her laying next to the Japanese maple for about half an hour, and then came back and administered the coup de grace with the handle and then dragged her away.
That's, for me, that vastly changes the
tone of this
thing, right? You know, because it's one thing to say, okay, yeah, somebody went a little crazy, understatement, pretty guano crazy, and, you know, beat this girl a lot and, you know, stabbed her and killed her and then dragged her body to hide her, versus somebody beat this girl, left her, and then came back and continued to do some assaults to her.
Like took a union break in the middle.
Yeah. But of course, I could be wrong about that too. He might have actually done all the attacking. It could be totally
wrong, yeah.
And she did all the bleeding there, and then he came back later and decided to move the body, but didn't actually attack her anymore.
Right.
So we don't really know.
Yeah.
But
and the broken bits of golf club, were they next to her body, so they were moved as well?
No,
they were at the initial attack site.
Yeah, two of them were at the initial attack site, the circle in the driveway, and then one of them was fairly close to her body. It was a piece of shaft, and then the fourth one was the handle itself was sticking out of her neck.
Okay.
Remember that too, by the way, with the golf club handle, because that becomes an important little clue later on.
Okay.
Yeah. When Martha's body was found, her jeans had been pulled down and her panties had been rolled down. She was face down. There were 2 smears of blood on her inner thighs, and there was no evidence of rape, by the way.
Or sexual assault of any kind, right?
Really, yeah, except for the blood smears on her thighs, which
right.
were probably put there by the murderer, you know, doing something, but he didn't actually complete any act or anything like that.
I thought I had read that in the coroner's report there was no signs of any kind of assault or trauma in her genital region.
Yeah, no, it was she had not been.
So
raped.
either there was something like totally consensual that had happened, or.
Well, that's.
Well, I don't remember anything about any
said,
sexual activity. I mean, there's talk that there was some sexual activity earlier in the evening, but it wasn't
earlier.
Yeah, but it wasn't full intercourse, and I think that's what it's probably why it's coming up as Joe said.
Right,
There's no assault that way. There's no evidence of it.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to clarify that as well.
But yeah, but the fact that her panties were rolled down and the fact that they found blood spatter on the inside of the panties told the police and the medical examiner types that she had probably been attacked by somebody that she knew. And in fact, not just somebody that she knew, but somebody that she'd be willing to roll her panties down for.
So wait, I don't understand how the blood on the inside of the panties leads to that understanding.
Well, because if he'd beaten her with her pants up and everything, the blood would have gone all over her pants.
The outside.
And the outside of her pants.
Oh, okay. So the point is her pants were down, and then she was treated as a pincushion.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the distinction I wasn't quite getting.
And I think the further distinction on that is that it looked like she had done it, not that they had been like torn off her.
Right. So her pants weren't pulled double or anything crazy. Like I got it.
Yeah. So at this point, I've described the murder. Let me tell you guys all about our cast of characters.
It's a big one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved in this story, so I'm going to try to keep this to a manageable number of people. First of all, Martha's family, the Moxleys, they've been living in Bellhaven. Did I mention this is in Bellhaven, Connecticut? Bellhaven is a neighborhood within Greenwich, Connecticut, and it's like the richest neighborhood in Greenwich, which is also, by the way, a fairly wealthy city itself.
Yeah,
it's posh.
The aerial pictures of this is kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're like, is that 1 yard? Is that a country club? Do people live there?
Why do they have that many pools?
Oh, yeah.
A full-size tennis court and 3 pools? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, like one of the families here, the Skakel family, they have this huge tract of land for in an area where I'm sure land is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
They have like a tennis court and a chipping tee with 2 golf holes in and everything, and a swimming pool, and it's just this big area, this meadow to wander around in, and a huge house, and it must be nice.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the kind of neighborhood where they wouldn't let you buy a house.
No,
I'm pointing at you.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
You specifically.
Yeah.
But it's also the kind of neighborhood where like really horrible murders don't happen either.
Not very often, no. Yeah. Moxleys had been there about a year and a half. Moxleys were David and Dorothy, that's mom and dad. They had 2 kids, John and Martha. At the time of the murder, John was 17 and Martha, his little sister, was 15. Across the street to the north, across Walsh Lane, was a large piece of land owned by the Skakels, again with a big, big house and lots of other cool stuff on it. And Rushton Skakel Sr., also known as Rucky, was a widower with 7 kids. He had 6 sons and 1 daughter.
Ugh.
Yeah, so his kids were Rushton Jr., a.k.a. Rush, Julie, John, Tommy, Michael, David, and Stephen.
Do you think he hates that band?
Yeah, wants to Rush. Yeah. But the 2 characters out of all the siblings to really they were the ones who became the suspects. Tommy, of course, was the major suspect in this murder for years. And then in the late 90s, Mark Furman wrote his book, Murder in Greenwich, which pointed the finger at Michael. Michael Skakel was eventually convicted of Martha's murder in 2002, and he was sentenced to 20 years to life.
Do you know how old those boys were?
Michael at the time was 15, and Tommy was 17.
Okay.
Yeah. And Michael, by the way, was a runt. He was like 5'2" at the time, weighed about 120 pounds.
Little guy.
He was 15.
Yeah, he
Come on.
eventually grew up and became a big guy. But yeah, at the time he was pretty small. Maybe too small to commit a murder. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. A 15-year-old girl is not exactly. I don't think Martha was exactly hulking.
No, she was actually about as tall as Michael at the time. Though.
Yeah.
Michael said many years later that if he had attacked her, she would have kicked his ass. And I should also mention one other major character in this story, which is Ken Littleton. He was hired by Rush Sr. to look after the Skakel kids and also to be a live-in tutor to Tommy and Michael.
Because their mother had passed away.
Yeah, their mother
had
passed away. There was not much in the way of parental supervision. She died about 3 years before from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of like the live-in nanny, basically, right? He cooked, he cleaned, he took the kids out, but he also tutored.
No, they actually had other servants that did the cooking and the cleaning.
Oh, but he took the kids out.
Yeah, he took them out, and he was there to provide a little supervision and tutor Tommy and Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the politically correct term is staff.
They had a lot of servants. Must be great.
Sorry.
They like the house staff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ken.
Yeah, Ken's first day on the job was October 30th. Yeah, when he moved into the Skakel house. And talk about your bad timing. He's kind of like the maid in the Hinter-Kaipak case. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, shows up the day of. That turned him into a major suspect for years, and police harassed him and tried to get him on this for years. And they did everything from bugging his telephone and cooking up sketchy deals with his ex-wife to try to get her to get him to implicate himself, and on and on and on.
I just feel like your first day on the job, really? Like,
who's going to go out and kill somebody the first day on the job, right?
The girl that lives literally across the street on the first day of the job, really?
Uh-huh.
Really? Like, I might not understand the impulse of, serial killers or anything like that, but really?
It's on the list of things not to do on day one. Just like getting drunk the night before your first day on the job, not something you do.
Yeah.
Dyeing your hair a crazy color or crazy cuts, things you don't do. Murdering the neighbor girl, also not
a thing. Don't do it.
No,
I know. And there's actually, even though he was such a major, there's actually no evidence that he ever even met Martha.
Yeah.
But they hunted him down. But they did this with all of their suspects.
Oh yeah, they harassed a lot of people.
They went after everybody they thought it could be super hard.
And frankly, they did some kind of sketchy things, the police did. Talk a little bit more about that later. But anyway, Ken had, his life went really downhill after the murder. And he had a lot of drug and alcohol abuse and some mental illness and stuff. And it's hard to say, he had a promising future at that time, but then that stuff might have happened anyway. He might have, but
might have developed the drinking habits and the drug habits. Regardless,
maybe all that stuff would happen.
And how old was he when it happened?
He was 24.
Okay, well, yeah.
He was 24. He was teaching at Brunswick School, which is a very exclusive private school in Bellhaven. Or no, I don't think it's in Bellhaven, but it's not far away. And where Tommy and Michael were both going to school. So it's one of those places where the rich people send their kids to school.
Yeah.
So Ken had a good future ahead of him. Oh, and one last thing you need to know about the Skakel family. They're related to the Kennedys, as in, John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy and all that. Rushton Skakel Sr., a.k.a. Rucky, the dad, was the brother of Ethel Skakel, who married Robert F. Kennedy Sr., and you remember him. He was JFK's brother, and he was assassinated in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that. And so Tommy and Michael Skakel are cousins of RFK Jr., which is why he wrote the book. And obviously, he doesn't believe Michael committed the murder.
Yeah, he's got a vested interest in having his family be cleared of this murder.
Yeah, well, plus he's
Little
been,
family pride.
He's been good buddies with Michael for many years, but he presents some actual pretty compelling evidence, and but we'll talk about that. And one of the most recent twists in the case is in 2013, a Connecticut